Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday, number 326 of our Webinar Wednesday series going back to January of 2013. Got a great topic, a great guest today. Looking forward to some alternative marketing, some methods beyond social media, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. So, what is up today? Today being September 25th, 2024. Well, we're going to take a big look at some great marketing strategies for your business. It's not often I can bring you somebody who is on the ball financially and marketing. Usually we're one of the other, but not today. But today it's going to be on some outstanding marketing strategies that you can take and implement into your business. Before we get there, we're going to have an update on the relief efforts with the Borel fire. The Borel fire, 60,000 plus acres in the Kern River Valley, about 40 miles from east of where we're broadcasting today. The Borel fire did a lot of damage, impacted a lot of people's lives, and we'll be talking about some of the relief efforts and what is coming up as far as what we anticipate to be a disaster declaration by the U.S. Small Business Administration. Well, since we've been on the last week, the Federal Reserve cut the interest rates for the first time in many, many, many months or years. It's been about, I think if I look back, I think the last time they cut the rates were probably during the pandemic, probably 2020, 2021. So it's been a long time. We saw some rates increase. And we'll talk about that briefly. We'll have our economic corner, our usual feature, and we're going to talk about how that interest rate is helpful to maybe support a soft landing and where the Fed actually lands this thing after slowing down inflation and avoiding a recession. Our capital quarter also still happy about this new SBA pilot program that we released and actually discussed a few weeks back. The line of credit program, getting some good feedback, getting some lenders involved in that, and it looks like it's going to be an outstanding program to support small businesses looking for funding. Your tools and resources to help you thrive in your business. As always, we will take your questions. If you would put your questions in the Q&A box. Also, we have the chat box. Maureen will be working the chat box, our Webinar Wednesday producer. She will be working that chat box with a lot of the resources that we talk about, making those available to you almost instantaneously. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the Borel fire and what's happening there. When we last left you, that there was a joint FEMA California SBA damage assessment that has been concluded. Again, we think that at the SBDC that we should be hearing about any day that the SBA is going to come out with a declaration for an SBA disaster. So what does basically the SBA disaster mean? Well, what it does mean is it means that there will be both physical damage and there will be economic injury loans that are available to businesses in Kern County. Now, the physical damage is going to be pretty much highlighted and centralized to where actually, the fire took place and damage that was incurred from the fire. The economic injury part of it could be anybody from any part of Kern County who, because of the fire, wasn't able to conduct business in their normal and usual way. So how are we going to help you? And what do we see as the greatest benefit? Really, the greatest benefit that, at least from the assessment information that I kind of get second or third hand, is that there's not a lot of businesses impacted, that a lot of businesses that have been damaged. There could have been quite a few that we find out about that were maybe home-based businesses and then they burned in the fire. But really, the greatest benefit for this disaster is going to be for those that lost their homes. We had stats that have been provided that there were basically about 155 houses, residents that burned in the fire. And of those 155, only a very few had fire insurance. And that is kind of what has been going on with the fire insurance crisis throughout California. And this really shows you where it can really hit home. So low interest rates, 3.75%, 30 years, great terms. There's a qualification process. How we can help you is we can help you in actually filling out the SBA disaster loan application. There is an application. There most likely will not be any grants. This is all going to be loans. And really, you can really do a lot by really being prepared. And when they open this up, get in line and try to get there and get moving on, hopefully rebuilding and reshaping your life. So it also affects not only homeowners, but it affects renters and businesses of all sizes for the physical disaster loans. So that's a good thing to know. Even if you were a renter and the house burned, that there is potentially some relief in the form of a long-term, low interest rate disaster loan for you. Many small business, smaller cooperatives, and many, if not most, of the private nonprofits can apply for economic injury loans. Another thing that we like to keep you appraised of here throughout the rest of the 2024 Webinar Wednesday season. And yes, it's turning into a season now that we're in the fourth quarter. But that is going to be essentially, the beneficial ownership information that is filed through FinCEN. I had a great opportunity to talk with FinCEN recently at an event and ask them what is the biggest problem they're seeing, and that's not enough people are filing. And this is going to be something where you need to provide your contact information if you have a form of legal entity, such as an LLC, an S corporation, or a very small corporation. And it's to basically limit a lot of undesirable activities that a lot of crooks hide behind. And some of them are these LLCs and smaller corporations, to where you're going to need to provide contact information on the FinCEN website in order to actually be compliant. And not being compliant is going to yield you some very significant penalties starting in 2025 if your business was incorporated or in business before January 1st, 2024. Now, if you do an incorporation or an LLC or another entity that is required to file the beneficial ownership information, then you are required to do that 3 months after you actually do that filing, do the LLC, do the incorporation with your Secretary of State. So please keep that in mind. The penalties, we're not going to go over right now, but they're rather stiff. And we're going to keep putting information out on this particular topic so that you have that kind of, focused in on. So our capital quarter, just briefly touch on that. We talked in good detail about the SBA pilot loan program. We've touched on, what, we could, and maybe we will next time, talk about a 0.5% interest rate on how much money that really saves somebody. And it is going to depend on the loan size and the volume and the terms of your deal, that there could be some substantial savings. On Economic Corner, the economic remains steady, almost kind of boring-like. And now jobs is really kind of a big issue on getting this particular soft landing. And on the soft landing, again, that is just because the job market is softened, and the soft landing is kind of means we won't be in a recession. That's what soft landing is. So I wanted to make you aware that throughout the region, you can access the free human resource hotline for employers, which is provided by the California Employers Association at no cost. There are the various phone numbers based on which county you might reside in. So you can actually contact and get your HR questions. Great first place to start. If you have an HR issue, HR question, go there first. Also, the Nurture, the 12-week online classes in English and Spanish for those that want to start a daycare business and run it profitably. And that's the point behind there, is they can run this business profitably and make money and provide a great service. I know here in Kern County, we're on a very definite island as far as childcare. And the more providers that we can assist in going into business, not only do they provide the $1,000 startup grant, and this program just started up again earlier this month, but there will be more that are starting soon, and some allow you to catch up at times, but we're getting a little long. But they also have the registration and the licensing for California childcare providers, which is a lengthy process, and they are experts in that particular field. Here at the SBDC, we like to say membership has its privileges. No, you don't have to pay anything for membership. All you have to do is sign up as an SBDC client, speak to an SBDC advisor, and you can access our entire toolbox of great tools that clients can access. Everything from Live Plan now with AI. And also we have a great demographic information tool for industries called Vertical IQ. Several other tools in here, as you can see, going back from market research information. We have our YouTube channel, which is hosting about 275 or 300 of these webinars that we do on a Wednesday. So also, if you would want to sign up for confidential, no cost, no obligation expert consulting, you can contact the SBDC and sign up, which brings me, not signing up, but brings me to our special guest today. And our special guest is Haley Hoover. And she specializes, like I said, that strange thing. She specializes in finance and marketing, which is just, how do you get this right and left brain together? I think you guys know what I'm talking about out there. But she's a corporate team builder, an author, an intuitive artist through her business, the Sparkling Hippie. She offers custom art events for team building workshops, wellness, and entrepreneurship. She's actually one of us, an SBDC consultant with the UC Merced Small Business Development Center. A wide range of topics that she presents. As you saw, a lot of different ways we could have gone today, but really, who can alternative marketing beyond social media? I just had to hear it. She is a Sooner, a graduate from the University of Oklahoma with her BS in Public Administration, and actually advertising and applied communication. I like the way that sounds, applied communication. She can be found dancing to folk music of the 1970s on her family farm in rural Oklahoma. Find her at thesparklinghippie.com. Haley, it's great to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. Come on in.
Right. Thank you so much. I am happy to be here. Thank you for your feedback. Hello, Natasha, Heidi, Sarah. We're so glad you guys are here with us today. Eric, amazing. We've got some great guests here today. So let's get to it. So thank you so much, Kelly, for the great introduction. I'm not going to repeat it, but I appreciate you guys having me on as a guest today. And for those of you joining us, if you are not a part of your local SBDC, definitely take advantage of these amazing free resources. So thank you, CSU Bakersfield, for allowing me to be here today. So we're going to talk a bit about what isn't working in your marketing efforts to grow your business. Then we're going to talk about what is working. We're going to lay a foundation of some simple, quick marketing basics. And then I'm going to share 10 alternative methods that are working better than ever. So before we go any further, I want to hear from you guys. What isn't working for marketing your business? What I hear from my clients, so I work with people all over the state and all over the world. Oftentimes people come and they are asking me for help with Instagram. They call it social media, right? We all say, help me with social media. And social media is now almost synonymous with Instagram. All of my clients, and somebody might feel differently, but most of my clients say it's exhausting. They don't feel like they're doing it right, and they don't receive results from it. So, yeah, Sarah says she's being found on Google, not through social media. Natasha says social media works, but burnout does not work. Right. Yeah. So that's the thing. Even if it is working for you, a lot of people say it's exhausting. So if it's working, feel free to keep keep rocking and rolling, keep doing what's working, but I'm also going to provide you with some other ideas today that you can add on to that. So someone recently shared with me that they feel like Instagram is like now the new standing on the corner with an A-frame, hoping someone will come into your store. Maybe they'll scroll by you that day. Maybe they take a different route to work and they don't see it. So anyway, I wanted to share, so if we have any millennials in the room, you'll appreciate this GIF. Instagram isn't the queen bee anymore. So it's not what it was 5 years ago. It's not what it was 10 years ago. Even 15, 20 years ago, the internet was a very different place. And so I don't know if anyone knows Justin Bieber and how he got started, kind of an overnight sensation on YouTube, right? And overnight, seemingly, he became a world famous pop star. And so I believe that a lot of us still have this misconception that if we just post enough on Instagram, we'll go viral and we'll make a lot of money and we'll be famous. And while that does still happen, it is very, very, very rare. And Instagram is just such a different place than it was back in the early days of the internet, the early days of Instagram. So let's look at some different ways. So if you think about how you are, I'm assuming people, if you're in here, that you use Instagram passively, right? As a user. If you think about your state of mind when you're using Instagram, I don't know about you, but typically I'm leaned back, sunken down in the couch. My mind is turned off, right? I use Instagram to kind of numb out, relax. I'm not in a very active state. Would you guys agree with that when you're using Instagram? Right? So we have a lot of data to prove that users of Instagram are increasingly passive and distracted. So I'm just going to pick on Instagram a minute, and then we're going to move on to some other types of social media. But everyone and their grandma is on Instagram now, right? It's getting noisier, it's getting more crowded. And just like we saw with Facebook back, 5-7 years ago, Instagram for businesses is increasingly becoming a pay-to-play game. So Instagram is setting you up to encourage you to use ads, so your content's getting less seen. So we're going to talk about something called shelf life very quickly. Shelf life is essentially how long your post is relevant on Instagram. So on average, and I'll show you some research here in a minute, but posts, like regular posts on Instagram, typically reach their peak in 48 hours. So after 48 hours, it's very unlikely that someone's going to see that post. They can, it's just very unlikely. For Reels, if y'all remember, I think it was 2021 when Reels came out and everyone was going viral and it was like, oh, use Reels and people will find you like months later. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I was on that train. Now Reels typically after 14 days, no one new sees them, right? Unless they're going to your feed and looking through it. And then of course, stories last 24 hours. We know that. So on average, anything you do on Instagram is gonna get the full effect. It's gonna be done in less than 20 hours. That's less than a day, you guys. So what about Facebook? Do you guys think it's much better? Let's see, we have one person. Worse, yeah. So Facebook, the average life. So again, this is like the most amount of likes and views that your post is going to see, and before it kind of disappears into the algorithm. That average time is less than an hour and a half. Crazy, right? Crazy. So what's actually sticking around? What's actually going to not just stick around so people see your content that you're working so hard on, but also going to convert into customers, sales, right? That's ultimately what we're doing, right? So I love this graph. This is from scottgraphius.com. And they gathered a ton of data from all these different social media platforms, and this is how long on average posts last. So we've already covered Facebook and Instagram, which are less than a day. A lot of people, when I give this presentation, like to guess that LinkedIn's a lot better. LinkedIn is also, on average, the half-life is 24 hours. So a smidge longer than Facebook, but we're still looking at like about a day. But then we have a big hop, so a big skip up. YouTube, the half-life is actually 8.5 days, or 8.8 days, which is quite a bit more. But then this is where it really gets crazy. Pinterest, that average half-life is just shy of 4 months. That is a ton longer than any of these other ones. And then this top one is blog posts, and the average half-life is just under 2 years. So you talk about really getting some bang for your buck. These three are obviously slower growth, but they can provide a lot more of a return for your efforts. So before we dive into, we're going to talk a little bit about those longer shelf life methods. But first, I would be amiss if I did not start with some marketing basics that every single entrepreneur needs to know. So whether you're a marketing expert or you have no idea, I want to break it down for you very, very simply. Okay. The goal of marketing is not to hit your next number. It's not to sell 100 widgets. It's not to sign up 100 people. Whatever your numbers are, that's not the goal of marketing. The goal of marketing is 3 things. First, to connect to your ideal client or customer, building a relationship, a connection, right? No one is going to buy from you if they don't first know you and trust you. So that's where we start with the connection. Number 2, you want to appear as the answer to the problem that they have. So we're going to talk a bit more about that. And then the third goal of marketing is to share your solution, your business with them. So a lot of times we jump straight to number 3. And what happens is it falls flat because there is no relationship. You guys have all heard of the like, know, and trust factor. That's why we have to go in order here, right? So there's a very important method to marketing. So this is an unpopular show, but I'm curious if anyone else in here watches Good Witch. It is a Hallmark show that's now on Netflix, and I have just absolutely loved it. So I needed a doctor picture, and this is Dr. Sam Radford from that show, just to use as a picture. But I wanted to talk about marketing through the lens of being a doctor. So if you're a doctor and you know how to, maybe you specialize in fixing broken arms, right? If someone comes into your place of business, or let's say your doctor's office, and they are screaming, they are in pain, they've just broken their arm, they want this, please help me, right? They're like, somebody help my arm, fix my arm. If you're sitting there and you just lean back and watch and say, I don't want to come across as pushy. I don't want to come across as salesy. I'm just gonna, maybe they'll come to me, right? What does that make you? Usually people say a sociopath or really mean, right? Like we wouldn't think kindly of someone who had the medicine for something that someone needed and they didn't share it, right? On the flip side, let's say someone comes in and they have a runny nose. And they come in your office and they're like, please help me. This nose is driving me crazy. I'm sneezing and everything's terrible. And you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I can fix broken arms. I can give you the solution. I'm a doctor. I can fix your broken arm. I can fix your broken arm. And you start, maybe you start like popping their arm out of socket and you thinking you're helping, right? What does that make you? Also a sociopath, right? So if you're a doctor who had the medicine that somebody needed, it would be selfish not to share it, right? So that was the first scenario. But also, it would be obnoxious, to put one word on it, if you're sharing your medicine with the wrong people or people who don't need it, right? You're just turning them off. So I share this because this is marketing, right? This is why it's so important to know your problem, your solution, and the specific right people for what it is that you're selling. So I'm going to ask you, who do you need to share your medicine with? So you can screenshot that, write it down. Heads up, we're going to have homework. It's optional, but if you do it, you get extra points with me and SBDC. So feel free to take notes. We're going to have some homework that you can come back to, maybe this weekend when you have some more time. So your first homework assignment, what problem does your business solve? And I want you to really think beyond the basic layer here. Think about the type of person who has this problem the most, okay? How can you more deeply and authentically connect with this type of person? This is going to take your marketing further than anything else. Aside from platforms and strategy, if you understand this, you will be successful, I promise. So again, in a nutshell, marketing is, and we're going to talk about this a few times today, know your client, know the problem you solve, and put your business in front of that type of client. Okay? So you may think, some of you may be rolling your eyes, you may already be checking out. Stay with me, okay? Because it's not always what you think. If you think your ideal client is everyone, you're wrong. And if you want to unpack that, you can work with a SBDC advisor. But let's, for example, say you sell cherry lip gloss, okay? And you have cutesy marketing, you really focus on young teen girls, like 10 to 12. They're insecure with their image and they want to try, cosmetics for the first time. So you brand your product that way. Your marketing is branded towards that audience, and your price point is branded towards young teen girls, right? Okay. Give you another example. This person also sells cherry lip gloss. Okay, but this is luxury lip gloss. And it's made from pure cherry essence, from organic, locally grown cherries. And your ideal client is executive women who are concerned with using clean products, right? They're higher earning women, and so they really take serious what they spend on their beauty products. So you may think these are two people that sell cherry lip gloss, and maybe they both said, oh yeah, my client is everyone. Lip gloss is for everyone. And then you may further say, lip gloss is for everyone, and Instagram is where all my friends are at, so I'm going to market my lip gloss on Instagram. This is an example. And so I had ChatGPT make up some business names for us here. This first one is Cherry Crush. So we're looking at little girls ages 10 to 12. They're on YouTube, but they have restrictions because they're not 18. Same with TikTok. But they love TikTok when mom lets them use it during screen hours with specific things they can view. And they love following bloggers on both. If you were marketing this on Instagram, how much luck would you have? Not very much, because this target audience is typically not on Instagram, right? They're not allowed to. I mean, I think some of them are, but by and large, most of them are not, okay? And for Sacred Cherry Lukes, as we're calling it, this is, high earning executive. Most of them are very active on LinkedIn. Maybe she subscribes to Vogue magazine, and her email inbox is where she's most engaged because that's where she spends most of her time. If you were going to market to her on Instagram, she'd probably never find you. So I share this not to completely bash Instagram through this whole presentation, but to really show you, if you think smarter, your efforts can go a lot further. So instead of just jumping on the latest trend, blasting your content everywhere, really slowing down, taking a breath, and thinking about who specifically is my product for, and where is that type of person at? And it may be some of the places I'm going to share with you today. It may be somewhere else. Maybe there's a more creative solution. So really thinking about those things as we move forward. Again, knowing your client, the problem you solve, and putting your business in front of them. So that's kind of what I was sharing with that. Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes, and I've got 10 alternative marketing methods to share with you. These are working better than ever. I use a lot of these with my personal clients. I use most of these in my personal business, and they work. I will say 15 minutes to cover 10 methods, okay? So we're not going to show you how to use each one. I'm just going to give you some ideas. And if you want to go deeper on any of these suggestions, again, get with your local SBDC. You're welcome to find me on Instagram. I can help you through the chat, whatever. But we're just going to hit the highlights as we move through. So get your notebook ready. So my number one absolute favorite marketing tactic at the moment is SEO. So before you think, oh my gosh, that's over my head, SEO is really, really much more simple than it has a rep for. It's actually just a word game. It's knowing if you know what we started with, right? Your client, where they're at, and how to reach them, then you can use words and phrases to appear to them when they're searching for you. So when you're searching in Google, cherry lip gloss for teen girls, your product comes up first, right? That is a very specific game that's being played when search results come up. It's not random. It's people who put in SEO efforts into their business. So once you understand the whole internet, all of it, it revolves around keywords, then it's just a matter of plugging those words into the right places. This is a very simplified version of it, but I like to teach things in very basic concepts, and then as you go deeper, you can learn more. So food for thought, the number one search engine in the world is Google. Most people don't know this, but the second most popular search engine in the world is YouTube. So I'm just going to leave that there, food for thought. But when people are actively looking for something they want, typically they're typing it in either Google or YouTube. So think about that as you think about positioning your product. I will say SEO is a long game. We looked at the half-lives earlier, right? Everything involving SEO. I just told a new client yesterday, I give it 6 months or longer. And the longer you stick with it, the more the results compound. So it's not instant gratification like Instagram and Facebook, where you get likes and comments, but it is a much better return on your time, if you ask me. So number 2 is blogging. So this goes hand in hand with SEO. So there's 2 different things. People go, oh my gosh, I can't write a blog every day. Okay, well, that's not what I'm talking about. So the first one is blogging for yourself using SEO as a strategic method. And it doesn't mean you have to make a new post every day. There are intentional strategies that actually you would be doing a lot less work and having a lot more impact. I'm just going to tease you there. You can also blog for other people. So you can blog on other people's websites, huge forums like Medium, HuffPost, things like that. Forbes is an example. You can write for other publications that have a larger reach that point people back to your website. And again, we saw that blogging has a really long half-life. I think it was around 2 years. Yep, oh, here. My slides were ready. Just under 2 years. So that's really helpful, right? Number 3 is Pinterest. So I always tell people, do not sleep on Pinterest. If you are playing SEO and blogging, and even if just selling products, Pinterest can be a really, really fabulous resource. So just a reminder, we saw earlier that the half-life of a pin on Pinterest is just under 4 months. I often find my content on Pinterest usually lasts a lot longer than that. I get a lot of pins like 2, 3, even 5 years later. So I think it's pretty cool. If you are using a broader SEO strategy, this all plays together. How you build your website, what you're writing about, blogging about, and how you're sharing it on Pinterest. So Pinterest is also a search engine like Google or YouTube. So Pinterest can be a really helpful tool if your audience is there, right? So if you're selling, I don't know, beard oil, maybe Pinterest isn't the best place because most of us probably know their users are by and large women. But maybe if you frame your beard oil as the perfect gift for your husband, it could be the right place, right? So it's all about knowing who your client is. I'm gonna go back to that again and again. If you decide to use Pinterest, just a sidebar, there's a super helpful tool called Tailwind that I've been using for several years, and it makes it all super duper easy. Okay, along with that, number 4 is updating old content. So with Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, we saw things kind of die after a day, definitely after 2 weeks. Try giving life to old content. So putting that content on a blog post, on Pinterest, again, strategically, we're all about quality, not quantity when it comes to marketing. But specifically, if you have I have a blog post, for example, that I wrote, I think originally in like 2018. And every now and then I go in and like just update it a little bit, add a little here, a little there. And it continues to bring me like several hundreds of views a month on my website. And I wrote it years ago. So that can be a really, again, effective, thoughtful strategy. Number 5. So I know Maureen, who's our co-host today, she was very excited about this. This is all, I will say this is my number 1 kept secret, and it's not a secret. It's totally free. Every single one of my clients, I highly encourage them to get on Google My Business, especially if you are a brick and mortar business, right? If you have a physical location, you need to be on Google My Business, okay? So if you've ever typed in, I for example, chose chiropractor near me, and assuming we're in Modesto. I know we're not, but if you've ever typed in anything near me, right, and you have a list of things come up, and you've seen them look like this, right? So they look kind of like cards. That is such an intentional, like these people have worked really hard to be the first people. Actually, I don't want to say they've worked really hard. They have worked really smart to be the first people who pop up when people are looking for the service they provide. Okay, so these are Google My Business profiles. They've put in keywords, right, that match their website, kind of playing into the SEO. They have asked for reviews. You see this 215 reviews at the top person that popped up. They have put some thought into their Google My Business profile, and that's why they pop up first. And this is any category, anything you're Googling when you say near me. Now, this is a great way because okay, think about Instagram, right? You're leaned back, you're kind of relaxed, you're just scrolling versus I got my nails done in Bakersfield yesterday. Nail salon near me, right? That I'm a person who is ready to point my car towards your business and pay you money, right? I could scroll your Instagram account all day and never come pay you money, right? I might just look at your photos, whatever. So this is a great way to capture people who are already looking for you, right? You're not on the corner hoping they find you. You're there when they're ready, right? So I just wanted to show, I clicked on this first card here. And you can see, right? Like, and I know you guys have done this a million times. You may not have known it was a business strategy, right? But you can see they've done a lot of work. They've got over 33 photos. They've asked for reviews. It's got all their information. I can get directions and go straight there right now. So more about that later. Number 6. Okay, these last few are pretty exciting. Coffee dates. And before you roll my eyes, all my clients roll my eyes on me on this one, but I have had tremendous success with coffee dates. I always say business is built one connection at a time, one relationship at a time. When I lived in Sonora in Northern California, I typed in, wellness businesses near me. I clicked on every single tab. I went to every website and just invited each one of those people out for coffee. What happened was that, I will go ahead and go to number 7. Some of those relationships became clients, right? Paying clients. Some of them became really good friends. And some of them became strategic partnerships, right? So this is your 7th method, partnering with people who serve a similar audience as you. You can do an event together. You can cross-promote each other. It's all about bringing value to each other's. It's not what can I get, it's how can I serve your people and how can you serve my people, right? So I put on here, remember the basics, getting in front of the right people. Okay. A lot of those strategic partnerships that started with coffee dates for me have ended up in workshops and events, which is another great way to market your business. So I had to share this with you guys because you may be wondering, if I'm from Oklahoma, why am I in Bakersfield? I get that question a lot this week. I am doing a tour of my business all over the state of California. This happened 100% from coffee dates. I have a friend that I met here in Bakersfield. We do virtual coffee dates once a month, and the same all the way up this graphic here, right? I'm doing workshops with all of these strategic partners that have really started as just making connections and building relationships. So I really want to emphasize, again, like, I think when we think marketing, we kind of come at it with like, what can I get out of it? And let me pass out 100 business cards. And I have found if you come from a much more laid back approach and you're really thoughtful about who you're connecting with and how you're serving them, whether it's a friend, a client, a potential partner, things happen much more organically and powerfully in that way. Okay, we have 2 left. So number 9 is email marketing. This is huge. I've got some stats for you. So for every for every $1 spent on email marketing, the average return on investment is $36. So that is by and large more than most ad spend digitally and most social media things, right? Strong engagement. Open rates for email marketing campaigns around 20 to 36%. So that may sound low. That's actually really great. If you have 20 to 30% of your audience opening and reading your content, that's huge. And 55% of consumers prefer email as the primary channel for business communication. That's a majority, right? And 89% of professional marketers use email as their main channel for generating leads. Again, it's not about pray and spray and sending a million emails out all the time. We're selling. It's about knowing your client, knowing how you can help them, and providing valuable content that they want to read. So there's a whole strategy that goes into each and every one of these. And number 10 is snail mail. Again, valuable, thoughtful mail that resonates with your ideal customer. We don't get mail anymore. We get bills and that's it. And imagine receiving a beautiful personalized thank you card in the mail from the nail salon you went to in Bakersfield yesterday, right? Like, how much would that mean? That would mean a ton because it's rare these days, right? Also just any kind of paper. I'm going to say don't sleep on paper, and this isn't in here, but flyers, business cards, don't sleep on that. So I know we're at the top of the hour. We're going to wrap it up. A couple more tips. I've shared this a million times. I'm going to hope you can recite it by now. Know how you help your clients, know what your solution is, and just be where that is. Again, business is about building connections, and we build a business one connection at a time. Okay, think about connecting rather than marketing. So I would love for you to drop in the chat what your key takeaways are. The key takeaways I have for you are that marketing is about connecting. Social media has changed and continues to rapidly change. We could talk about that all day, but there are many methods that are just as effective, if not more effective, for marketing your business. So thank you guys so much. Feel free to drop questions in the Q&A or in the chat. I'd be happy to stay a few extra minutes. And I'm going to hand it back to Kelly.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Anytime I get a strategic partnering, get some approval on that, strategic partnering and partnering with other businesses, I love that stuff. Okay, so let's go to the Q&A box. Let's see what's happening up here in Q&A. Not a lot of questions in there. So we'll check the chat and see what's all in here. So maybe you've decided to chat us up. And let's go. So good to see you all out here. Thanks for stopping in and making and providing a greeting. Good to see you, Jeff and Cesar, Trevor, Sarah, a lot of you. It's good to see that you can't get that. Okay, so don't see a question in here just yet. I do have a question though. Where's the best places to find AdWords?
Oh, that's a whole thing. Google is one. Another one is Uber Suggest is one of my favorite tools. Both of those are really helpful to get started.
Okay, I have another question. How often should one post on their Google My Business page?
I tell my clients, once you get it set up, once a week is plenty. So Google My Business doesn't like you to post a million things, upload a million photos, and then ignore it for 6 months. It likes to see consistent progress. So I say, once a week, sit down and make a post, maybe upload a photo and ask for a review. And that's plenty.
Great. Well, I agree with you, Trevor. I love that top 10 also. Okay, the next question is, do we know the lifespan of TikToks?
I don't have that information, although I'm sure it's out there, and I'm sure it's pretty similar to Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, TikTok is one I kind of personally avoid because of all the lawsuits, and it could go away at any minute. And it's also becoming just as crowded as other social media.
And another question, so just throw your question in the chat. We still got time to take a few more if you have them. Should we avoid transitional marketing and focus on modern?
I'm not sure what you mean by traditional marketing, Eric, but I think a lot of what I shared today is pretty traditional with, the snail mail. Email's been around a very long time. And like I said, strategic partnerships, coffee dates, all of that I have found to be very, very helpful. So I think whatever feels good to you, and definitely do a mix if that is something that resonates with you and your ideal client.
Okay. Well, it seems like you've answered everybody's question, including mine. Any last thoughts before we move on for today?
I'd just like to say thank you so much for all of you who joined us, and thank you, Kelly, for having me, and thank you, Bakersfield. You guys, I've only here for a week, and you guys have been so fun to get to know and so welcoming. I'm very glad to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's great to have you again. Sparkling Hippie, easy to find. .com, of course.
Yeah.
So Haley, thank you so much again. Fantastic stuff. Love the top 10. We'll be back. We'll be back. And with webinar number 327, as soon as next Wednesday. So for Haley Hoover, I'm Kelly Bearden. Everybody have a great week. Goodbye, everybody.